Welcome to the Concierge Care Health System podcast. The information shared in this podcast is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. Listeners should be aware the content is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult with a physician or other qualified healthcare provider for medical questions.
Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we cut through the noise and get straight to the insights you need to be truly well-informed. Today, we're embarking on a deep dive into wearable technology in healthcare. It's a topic that's rapidly reshaping how we think about our own well-being. And the stakes couldn't be higher for all of us. I mean, did you know that in the United States, something like 6 in 10 adults live with at least one chronic condition?
That's right, a huge number.
And these conditions, they account for a massive 90% of the nations get this $4.9 trillion in annual healthcare spending.
Trillion. It's almost unbelievable.
It really is. So this isn't just a health challenge. It's an economic imperative. So our mission today is to really extract the most important insights from the source material on wearable tech. And we're going, far beyond your average fitness tracker here. We want to explore how these sophisticated devices are fundamentally shifting healthcare.
Yeah, moving away from that reactive illness-focused model.
Exactly. Towards something that's proactive, personalized, and preventive. But like any big revolution, we also need to look at the challenges. There are definitely significant ones ahead.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But what's truly fascinating here, I think, is the profound paradigm shift that's happening. It's all enabled by this continuous real-time data collection.
Right. Before it was just, snapshots, sporadic doctor visits.
Exactly. Isolated snapshots in time. But this tech, it gives you a dynamic, sort of holistic view of health that we just couldn't get before. It promises a future where, you can be much more informed about your own health every single day.
Right, from your wrist or
even a patch you stick on. It's pretty amazing.
So how did we even get here? From basic step counters to these mini health powerhouses. Let's unpack the journey a bit. If you think back, maybe early 2010s, devices like the first Fitbits.
Yeah, I remember those.
They were really just focused on step counting, weren't they? Part of that whole quantified self thing.
Pretty simple stuff, basically activity monitoring.
So what changed? What allowed that leap to today's devices?
Well, it was really a convergence of several key technologies maturing at the same time.
Okay.
You had relentless miniaturization of sensors, MEMS, microelectromechanical systems, tiny, powerful sensors.
Right.
Battery life got way better, which is crucial for continuous use. We saw innovations in materials, flexible, even stretchable stuff, so they fit the body better.
Makes sense.
And then, really importantly, low-energy wireless connectivity. Think Bluetooth, low energy, BLE. Combine that with smartphones becoming ubiquitous.
Yeah.
Suddenly, these wearables weren't standalone gadgets anymore. They became part of your personal digital health ecosystem connected to your phone.
That makes sense. But what's really interesting, I think, is how consumer demand kind of drove the bus here, right? Not doctors initially.
Oh, absolutely. It wasn't a clinician push at first. It was definitely consumer pull.
It was us, athletes, fitness buffs, then just everyday people started buying them.
And that created these enormous real-world data sets that just hadn't existed before.
Like the Apple Heart study you mentioned, that was massive.
Phenomenal scale.
Well,
Over 400,000 participants screened for atrial fibrillation using the Apple Watch.
just wearing a watch. Imagine trying to recruit for a traditional study that size.
Exactly. It showed the potential. And that scale, that consumer interest, really pushed manufacturers.
Pushed them to get serious about accuracy and validation.
Right. To seek regulatory validation, like from the FDA.
So the FDA clearance for things like the ECG on the Apple Watch, that was a turning point.
A critical maturation point, yes. It shifted things from just wellness towards medical device.
And that enabled the clinician push.
Precisely. Once you have validated devices, doctors can actually feel confident recommending or even prescribing them.
So you get this cycle, consumer demand leads to validation, which leads to clinical adoption.
A powerful symbiotic relationship, exactly.
So when we talk wearables, it's easy to just picture a smartwatch, but the landscape is actually much broader, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. The form factor is really diverse, tailored to different needs.
Okay, so break it down. We've got the wrist-worn stuff, obviously. Watches, fitness trackers.
Apple, Samsung, Fitbit, WHO.
Yeah, the familiar ones for general wellness.
But then there are things like smart rings, like the Aura Ring.
Right. Very discreet, great for overnight monitoring heart rate, HRV, respiratory rate, temperature, excellent for sleep analysis.
Because you barely notice you're wearing it.
Exactly. Then you move to adhesive patches or biosensors.
Like the Zio patch for ECG.
Yeah, or vital patch. These are more medical grade, stick right on the skin.
For higher fidelity signals.
Higher fidelity, yeah. Multi-lead ECGs, core body temp, more detailed respiratory patterns, things you can't easily get from the wrist.
And smart clothes. Sensors woven in.
That's an emerging area. Smart textiles for seamless monitoring, like your heart and breathing, just by wearing a shirt.
Wow. And then there's stuff that goes even further. Implants, ingestibles.
Pacemakers are a long-standing example of implantable health tech. But yeah, newer things too, like that Proteus digital health pill.
Come on with the sensor inside.
Yeah, to track if you've taken your medication. Really cutting-edge stuff.
Okay, so tons of different forms. But how do they actually get the data? What sensors are doing the work?
It's a whole suite of tiny sensors. Accelerometers and gyroscopes are fundamental.
For motion, steps, sleep.
Steps, sleep patterns, gait analysis, which is useful for things like Parkinson's, and really importantly, fall detection.
Critical for older adults. Okay, what?
Then you have photoplethysmography, or PPG. That's the optical sensor, the workhorse for wrist-based heart rate.
The one with the green lights.
Usually green, yeah. It basically shines light into your skin and measures how much bounces back.
Okay.
As your blood pulses, the amount of light absorbed changes. Tiny fluctuations, but the sensor picks them up.
And that gives you heart rate?
Heart rate variability, or HRV, and often blood oxygen, SpO2.
Got it. And ECG is different.
Totally different. ECG measures the heart's actual electrical activity. On a watch, you usually have to touch a specific part to complete a circuit.
For detecting things like AFib.
Exactly. On-demand screening for arrhythmias like atrial fibrillation.
And then there are even more advanced sensors.
Right. Things like bioimpedance for body composition analysis or electrochemical sensors.
Electrochemical, like for glucose.
Precisely. Continuous glucose monitors, CGMs like Dexcom G7 or Abbott's Freestyle Libre, they use a tiny filament under the skin.
And they've totally changed diabetes management, haven't they?
Revolutionized it. Real-time glucose data, no more constant finger sticks. It's huge.
Okay, so we have all these different sensors collecting just mountains of data.
Constantly.
But raw data is not useful on its own, is it? It needs interpretation.
Absolutely. And that's where AI and machine learning come in. They're the brains of the operation.
So what are they actually doing with all that data?
Well, without AI and ML, these devices would basically just be fancy data loggers. The algorithms are indispensable.
Doing what specifically?
A whole range of things. First, signal processing, cleaning up the noisy data you inevitably get from movement and daily life.
Right, filtering out the junk.
Exactly. Then classification, identifying specific patterns, like telling the difference between normal rhythm and AFib, or figuring out sleep stages.
Deep sleep, REM sleep, etc.
Right. Then there's regression. Researchers are using ML to try to estimate complex things like blood pressure, or maybe even glucose non-invasively from other sensor data. That's still developing, but promising.
Okay.
And maybe the most powerful role is anomaly detection and prediction.
Meaning?
Establishing what's normal for you, your personal baseline, then flagging subtle deviations.
Like your resting heart rate creeping up.
Exactly. A sustained increase might signal an oncoming infection or high stress levels, potentially days before you actually feel sick.
Wow. Early warning signs.
That's the idea, turning data into actionable insights.
So if we zoom out, what does this all mean for healthcare overall?
Well, it's fundamentally empowering both sides, patients and providers.
How so?
It provides continuous, objective data that bridges the communication gap.
Instead of just saying, I feel breathless.
Right. Now you have data streams showing heart rate, SpO2, activity levels during those breathless moments. Clinicians can analyze that objective data.
Leading to better decisions.
More precise adjustments, earlier interventions. It changes the conversation from how do you feel to let's look at your data from the last week.
Okay, let's get specific. Cardiovascular disease. How are wearables changing things there?
It's a huge area. Take hypertension, high blood pressure.
Usually measured just occasionally in the clinic.
Right, which can be misleading. You get that white coat hypertension effect sometimes.
Well, your pressure spikes just because you're at the doctor's.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But devices like the Omron Heart Guide watch offer 24/7 monitoring at home. It gives a much truer picture.
Okay. And arrhythmias. We mentioned AFib.
Yeah, the Apple Heart study really highlighted that. Identifying undiagnosed AFib passively, potentially preventing strokes down the line.
Huge. What about heart failure?
Wearables can track key indicators, daily weight changes, blood pressure, heart rate, activity levels. Subtle changes can be early warning signs of worsening failure.
Allowing doctors to intervene before someone ends up in the hospital.
That's the goal, preventing those costly and dangerous hospitalizations.
Okay, and you mentioned CGMs for metabolic disorders. Diabetes specifically.
Yes, this is probably one of the most mature and impactful applications right now.
Continuous glucose monitoring.
Right. Dexcom, Abbott Freestyle Libre. These devices provide real-time glucose readings constantly.
Eliminating the need for all those painful finger pricks.
Mostly, yeah. And the impact is profound. Users and their doctors see exactly how diet, exercise, medication affect blood sugar minute by minute.
Leading to better control.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Studies show better glycemic control, lower A1C levels, and crucially, fewer dangerous hypoglycemic episodes, low blood sugar events.
That really empowers patients, doesn't it?
Massively. They can take much more active control.
What about other areas, neurological conditions?
Also seeing benefits. Parkinson's disease is a good example.
How so?
Symptoms like tremor or slowness can fluctuate a lot day to day, even hour to hour. A brief clinic visit doesn't capture that. But wearables with motion sensors can objectively quantify these symptoms in the person's real-world environment throughout the day.
Giving doctors a much clearer picture for adjusting treatment.
Exactly. It offers a window into the patient's lived experience with the condition.
Any other examples? Epilepsy?
Yes. The Empatica Embrace smartwatch is actually FDA approved for seizure detection.
How does it work?
It monitors electrodermal activity, basically, changes in skin conductance related to the sympathetic nervous system and motion. When it detects patterns consistent with a major convulsive seizure, it automatically alerts caregivers with the user's location.
That could be life-saving.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
Faster response times are critical.
And what about breathing issues, sleep, mental health?
Making inroads there, too.
Yeah.
For COPD, simple wearable pulse oximeters allow patients to monitor their blood oxygen levels, SpO2, at home.
Proactive management.
Right. For sleep apnea, while not a replacement for a formal sleep study, many smartwatches and rings can screen for potential issues by tracking sleep patterns, heart rate, estimated breathing rate, and overnight SpO2 drops. It can flag people who should get tested properly.
Useful as a first step. And mental wellness.
It's more subtle, but things like heart rate variability, HRV tracking, can indicate stress levels.
Prompting maybe biofeedback or relaxation exercise.
Exactly. And tracking changes in sleep patterns or activity levels can sometimes provide objective flags for worsening depression, prompting a conversation with a therapist or doctor.
Interesting. So beyond just treating existing conditions, the really big promise seems to be in prevention, right? Stopping diseases before they even start.
That's the ultimate goal, yes. Creating this category of the pre-patient.
Empowering people to manage their own risks before they get sick.
Precisely. And wearables can be powerful tools for behavioral change.
Just making you more aware.
Awareness is key, yes.
Yeah.
That biofeedback loop, seeing how a walk improves your sleep score, or how stress tanks your HRV, plus motivation through goals, badges, gamification. It sounds simple, but studies show it works. Like users increasing activity by an average of 1,300 steps a day.
That adds up.
It does. And beyond behavior, there's that early detection piece we talked about.
Finding those subtle negative trends using your personal baseline.
Right. That rising, resting heart rate signaling infection or chronic stress long before you'd normally see a doctor.
And AI can take that further. Predictive analytics.
Potentially, yes. Identifying individuals at high risk for things like type 2 diabetes based on their data patterns, allowing for targeted interventions way earlier.
So how is this actually getting integrated into clinical practice? Is remote patient monitoring, RPM, becoming mainstream?
It's definitely growing fast. RPM is a huge driver.
Using wearables to monitor patients outside the hospital walls?
Exactly. Post-discharge monitoring is a big one. During the COVID-19 pandemic, for instance.
Right, I remember hearing about that.
Yeah. Systems used wearables like pulse oximeters or vital sign patches to monitor patients recovering at home, helping catch deterioration early and reducing rehospitalizations.
Makes sense. And for chronic conditions?
Like congestive heart failure, which we mentioned, continuous monitoring allows care teams to intervene proactively if they see warning signs, hopefully preventing ER visits or hospital stays.
Saving costs and improving quality of life.
That's the idea. And the impact on clinical trials is also really significant.
How are wearables changing research?
In several ways. They provide new kinds of data novel objective endpoints.
Like
Continuously measuring cough frequency in a COPD drug trial instead of relying on patient diaries. Or tracking movement 247 in a Parkinson's trial. Much more granular objective data.
minimizing that recall bias.
Exactly. Plus, it reduces the burden on participants. They don't have to travel to a clinic as often.
Enabling decentralized trials.
Right, which can make trials more accessible and help recruit more diverse populations.
Are big companies using this?
Well, yeah. Examples include Roche using smartwatches in oncology trials, the MSTOPS trial using an ECG patch for AFib screening, various Alzheimer's trials using motion sensors. It's becoming much more common.
Okay, this all sounds incredibly promising. Almost too good to be true sometimes. What are the catches? The challenges? Let's start with accuracy. Are these things actually accurate?
That is a critical question.
Yeah.
And the answer is, it depends.
Depend on what?
Depends on the specific metric being measured and often the device brand and model.
Okay. So what is generally accurate?
Step count and heart rate, especially from top-tier brands like Apple, Garmin, Fitbit, tend to show pretty strong accuracy compared to standard methods.
Like the Apple Watch 3 and Fitbit Charge 2 you mentioned, around 5–6% error for heart rate versus an ECG.
Yeah, in that ballpark for resting or moderate activity. Pretty good for a consumer device.
But what's not accurate?
Energy expenditure calories burned is notoriously inaccurate across almost all consumer devices. Errors can easily be 20–30%, sometimes much higher.
So don't rely on your watch to tell you exactly how many calories you burned.
Definitely not for precise numbers. And sleep staging telling apart light, deep REM sleep is also generally poor compared to the clinical gold standard, polysomnography. They're okay at total sleep time, but not the stages.
And what affects the accuracy? You mentioned exercise intensity.
Right. High-intensity exercise can cause motion artifacts that mess with the PPG sensor's heart rate readings.
Okay.
And a really important issue is skin tone. It's been documented that PPG sensors can be less accurate for heart rate and especially SpO2 on individuals with darker skin tones.
Why is that?
Melanin absorbs more of the light wavelengths used by the sensors, making it harder to get a clean signal. It's a significant technical bias.
Which leads to a broader issue.
Yeah.
Validation. Are these devices properly tested?
That's a major gap. It's estimated that something like 95% or even more of the consumer wearables on the market have not been independently validated against clinical-grade equipment.
95%. Wow. So most are just making claims without rigorous proof.
For many wellness metrics, yes. The standard for clinical validation is much higher than for general consumer claims.
Okay. Accuracy is one big issue. What about the ethical side? Privacy.
Huge concerns there. Data privacy and security are paramount, and there's a major loophole in U.S. law.
Which is?
Most data collected by consumer wearables, your step count, heart rate, sleep patterns, location data tied to workouts, is not considered protected health information, or PHI, under HEPI.
So HAPI doesn't cover my Fitbit data?
Generally, no. Not unless it's being collected directly as part of care from your doctor or hospital system that's covered by HEPI. If it's just you and the device company, a HEPI likely doesn't apply.
So what does that mean?
It means the device manufacturers can often legally sell or share your aggregated or even sometimes de-identified, though re-identification is a risk, data with third parties.
Like who? Advertisers, data brokers.
Data brokers, advertisers, potentially insurers, employers. It's often buried deep in those long terms of service agreements nobody reads.
That's unsettling.
It's a major privacy gap. And related to that is algorithmic bias.
You mentioned the skin tone issue with sensors. Does bias affect the AI too?
It absolutely can. If the AI algorithms are trained primarily on data from one demographic group, say, mostly white men, they might be less accurate for women, people of color, older adults.
So the device might be worse at detecting a condition in certain populations.
Potentially, yes. It risks exacerbating existing health disparities.
And that ties into the digital divide, right? Not everyone can afford these devices or has the tech to use them.
Exactly. There are significant barriers.
Yeah.
The cost of the devices themselves, the need for a compatible smartphone, reliable internet access, and a certain level of digital literacy.
Risking a two-tiered system. Those with access get the benefits. Those without get left further behind.
That's a real danger we need to actively work against. Promoting health equity is crucial.
So, given these challenges, accuracy, privacy, equity, what are the barriers stopping wider adoption right now?
Several things. User adherence is one. There's often a novelty effect.
People get excited at first, then stop using the device.
Yeah, enthusiasm can wane after a few months, especially if the data doesn't feel actionable or if the device is uncomfortable or inconvenient. Long-term engagement is tough.
Okay. What else?
Regulatory hurdles are still significant. That line between a general wellness device and a regulated medical device can be blurry.
And getting FDA clearance for medical claims is expensive and complex.
Very much so. It's a barrier for manufacturers wanting to make validated health claims.
And what about integrating this into how doctors actually work?
That's a huge piece.
Hmm?
Clinical workflow integration. Clinicians are already drowning in data.
They don't have time to sift through millions of data points from a wearable.
Exactly. We need intelligent systems to filter and present only the most relevant, actionable insights.
And getting the data into the doctor system, interoperability.
Still a major challenge. Lack of standardized ways for different devices and electronic health record systems to talk to each other.
And finally, who pays for managing all this data? Reimbursement.
That's still evolving. There are codes now for remote patient monitoring, but the models are complex and not universally adopted, which can disincentivize health systems from investing heavily yet.
Okay, so quite a few hurdles still to overcome.
Definitely. Significant hurdles.
So let's try to synthesize this. We've seen incredible potential, but also real challenges.
That's right. If we connect this to the bigger picture, wearable technology is undeniably transforming healthcare. It's enabling that shift towards a more proactive, personalized, patient-centric model. We've seen really compelling applications, CGMs for diabetes, AFib detection saving lives, even making clinical trials better.
Yeah.
But its full promise, its ability to truly revolutionize health for everyone, hinges on addressing that trust trilemma we talked about.
Accuracy, privacy, and equity.
Exactly. We need devices that are accurate and validated for diverse populations. We need robust privacy protections for sensitive health data. And we need to ensure equitable access and benefit.
So what's the ultimate vision? If we can solve those problems, what does the future look like?
The vision is a truly connected health ecosystem. Imagine your wearable data flowing seamlessly and securely into your electronic health record.
Okay.
Intelligent algorithms are constantly, quietly analyzing it, proactively alerting you and your care team to subtle signs of trouble, maybe weeks in advance.
Shifting care from treating sickness
to holistic, lifelong health management. Your doctor's visit becomes less about diagnosing current problems and more like a data-driven strategy session for optimizing your future health.
Empowering both you and your doctor with unprecedented insights.
That's the dream.
So to get there, what needs to happen? What are the actionable takeaways?
It really requires coordinated action from everyone involved.
Okay, like who?
Researchers.
For researchers and academia, the priority has to be standardized validation protocols, really rigorously testing these devices across diverse groups, and actively working to identify and eliminate algorithmic bias in the AI models.
Makes sense. What about doctors and hospitals? Clinicians and healthcare systems need to invest in the infrastructure to handle this data. Things like AI-powered dashboards that filter the noise and highlight what matters, and they need clear clinical practice guidelines on how to actually use patient-generated health data effectively and responsibly.
Right, and the tech companies, the manufacturers.
For developers and manufacturers, it's about embracing radical transparency. Be upfront about device limitations and accuracy. Adopt privacy by design principles from the start with clear opt-in consent for data use, not buried clauses.
And interoperability, making devices talk to each other.
Yes, committing to open standards like FHIR to allow seamless data exchange. Stop the walled gardens.
And finally, policymakers, regulators.
Have a huge role. Modernizing regulatory frameworks to keep pace with the technology, and crucially, enacting comprehensive federal privacy legislation that covers all consumer health data, closing that HIPAA loophole.
Protecting people's data regardless of where it comes from.
Exactly, and actively promoting health equity. Finding ways to bridge the digital divide and ensure these technologies benefit everyone, not just the wealthy or tech-savvy.
Lots of work to do across the board.
No question, it's a collective effort.
So as we wrap up, here's something for you, our listeners, to think about. If your wearable device, your watch, your ring, whatever it might be, could reliably predict a significant health issue, maybe days or even weeks before you actually felt any symptoms, how would that knowledge fundamentally change your daily choices? How might it change your relationship with your doctor and how you manage your own health? Something to consider as this technology continues to evolve.
Concierge Care, providing world-class, personalized care for patients and members. Taking a proactive approach by offering its free digital health clinic for anyone in need of these services. Reach out to us via our website, www.health.conciergecare.net, or give us a phone call at S01E03 809-2345.